Hi from me and my Solerulia plant, and today we'll be doing a little journey through my various houseplants that I've collected since I've moved house. I've collected quite a few now and I love them all, and I'm really excited about making this video. I'm still learning a lot about how to take care of them, their names, where to place them. So I'm by no means an expert at all, but hopefully you'll enjoy having a look, and if you have any tips, let me know. So if I pull back the hair of the Solerulia, you will see he's in a little pig plant pot. He just sits neatly in there, and you can see he's already kind of growing out of his pot. I will eventually repot him, and I think he will get quite big. He's quite a small version of a Solerulia at the minute, but I do enjoy the way that it hangs down the side of the pot. It does almost look like hair when you put it in a pot with a face and a tail. And this guy sits on my windowsill with plenty of sunlight, and I only water him a small amount because of his size. You don't want to give a small plant lots of water for obvious reasons, you'll just drown them. So he's really happy with just a little bit of a drink about once a week. And he sits with another pig. This guy, admittedly, I don't know what it is. I feel like it might be a succulent of some sort, just because of the shape of the leaves. They're quite thick, and the shape that the plant is growing makes me think it might be from the succulent family, perhaps. If anyone knows, let me know. Again, I think he's growing quite well. I just water him once a week, a small amount, and he seems to be taking quite a nice shape. He's not getting too leggy or drying out. He just sits in a sunny spot and seems pretty happy. So I'm looking forward to repotting him once he's definitely outgrown this pot, which I think will probably be fairly soon. He's kind of sprouting out the sides already, and I think it's the kind of plant that once repotted it's going to cover quite a lot of surface area. It'll just expand. But I do love the colour of this one. I love the dark green. I think he's really pretty. And next is the mother-in-law's tongue. This guy is so hardy, which makes me love owning them, because you can put them in quite dark spaces and they seem to be fine. He's been in so many different locations throughout my house, and in each one he just seems to thrive, or just not really change much at all. I've had this about maybe a year and a half. I got him from Asda, and it was really good value for the plant, and for the pot it was about £7. So he was a bargain. He was only about this big when I got him, and this bit has extended since I've had him, and he seems fairly happy. Again, I water him about once a week, but I really don't think he'd really mind all that much how much I watered him, because he just seems to grow, just seems to be happy wherever he is. So I'm thinking of maybe getting some more of these because they're really good for giving those darker spaces some greenery, if that's what you like. I think they look quite menacing. And I love the colours too. I love that bright yellow streak around the side of the sort of almost mottled green. I think it's really interesting. And I did try drawing it once because I thought that paint would lend itself quite well to the colours. Yeah, it's a good plant. So next is one that I've had a very love-hate relationship with. This is called an aeonium, and when I first bought it, I was really unsure about how to look after it. I had it on a windowsill in my back room, which isn't quite as sunny as the front living room, and all the leaves started to fall off. They would just they'd fall to the bottom like this, and I was forever picking them up and he was looking more and more bare. So I decided to move him to the living room windowsill with more sunlight, and he seems to now be thriving, but he needs so much water. I water him twice a week, even though it's winter, and yeah, I'd say he's quite needy. But also, I think I'm at the stage where I'm quite enjoying the challenge. I think he's quite a changeable plant because at the minute you can see he's really dark purple, but at times you can see a lot of green in him as well, and even to the point where if you put him on the windowsill in front of the light, one side that's facing the window will have more greenery and be more impressive even, and when you turn him round you'll see that the other side is a little bit duller, and then once that side's been in front of the window it will look the same as the other side. So it's almost quite important to turn him round and make sure that all of these little stems are getting light. But I'm really looking forward to him growing. I think he's gonna look really beautiful. I already think he looks beautiful, but I'm looking forward to the green coming back, which I think it will in the summer. He's actually only recently started going this dark purple, which is quite strange. Again, I like the fact that he changes. He's probably the most interesting plant that I have. So, yeah. That's an aeonium. So, next is the beginnings of my many succulents. This one is called a crassula, I believe. This is actually probably my favourite plant in the whole world, because it's the first plant that I ever owned. I've had him for about 5 years, and my friend basically took a leaf off her plant, her crassula, and placed it in some soil and let it grow, and that's the result of this. So when I got him, he was only about this big. I actually still have a picture, and he's grown since then. So it's been amazing to watch and have a sense of satisfaction, I guess, at seeing something grow that you've looked after. He's quite hardy. I do try to make sure he gets plenty of sun, because he can get too tall too quick reaching for the sun, I think. So you need to make sure that he has enough sunlight so that the stem can grow nice and strong and thick instead of trying to reach for the sun too quick, which kind of makes sense. And when succulents do that, people do say they get too leggy, meaning they, sprout up far too quick and don't have any support. So I water this guy once a week, just a small amount. And I recently got him a new pot with legs for my non-leggy plant. So, kind of along a similar line, I have a jade plant. It's another plant from the succulent family. And you can see here I have two stems growing in one plant. He's quite similar to the other plant in terms of watering, sunlight. He's growing fairly quickly. I think I've had him maybe like a year, and when I first got him he was only about this big. I bought him from a little fair of a lady who, propagates her own plants. So he's come from there. So he's been well loved. And he seems to be slanting quite a lot. I don't know if maybe I need to put a stake or something in to kind of prop him up, I'm not sure. But I have repotted him once. He was in a really, really small pot, and every time you kind of went anywhere near him he would try and topple over just because the pot was far too small. So now he's in a bit of a sturdier position, which is good. Again, he's one of the plants I've had for a long time, so I'm quite attached to him. And I was taking him back to my mum's house once to repot him, and there used to be a big leaf here, and I broke it off in the car, and I was really upset. I was so upset, in fact, that I took that plant, and put it in the soil, and I'm trying to now sprout an offshoot plant from him. So this was the leaf that I broke. It's still really, really thick, and you can see there, hopefully, that there's some more plant growing. So this has only taken maybe I'd say about 3 months to get to this big. So basically all I did was take the leaf that had fallen off the jade plant, and I put it in water for about 2 days just to give it more hydration. And you could see that little shoots had started sort of forming slightly, and I waited till they'd got a decent size, and then I just placed it on the soil and I water it, and it seems to be growing, so that's exciting. This is just another one that I snapped off a different plant that was wishful thinking that it might do the same thing, but it doesn't seem to have. So to be honest, I might just take this out because it's been there for about 3 weeks and it's clearly not doing anything. But this one seems to be doing really well. So yeah. So let's go with something a bit different. This is called a golden pothos. Pothos? I'm not too sure how to pronounce it. So it's really leafy. Again, I find this quite difficult to look after. When I first got it, and I should mention, I got it from a friend who propagated it herself, so she had a bigger version of this, and she took a leaf and she grew it in water and then planted it, and this is the result. And when I first got it, I was really devastated because I just seemed to be killing it. The leaves were going yellow, it was really floppy, there was dead bits all over it, and I took a decision to take off the yellow leaves, which I think was because I was overwatering it. But in my stupidity, I didn't know that at the time, so I was giving it more water, thinking it was thirsty. But basically, I've now moved it to the sunniest position I possibly can, and I give it a small amount of water each week. And as I say, I've taken off the yellow leaves, and I think I've turned it around. But you can still see it's got sort of dead bits on the corner. I don't know why that is. Yeah, I really don't want to kill this off. I'm hoping that maybe it's the kind of plant that in the winter it just stays still and looks a bit sad, and then in the summer perhaps maybe it will start to grow and start to look really healthy. That's my hope. But I've seen a lot of golden pothos online that have really mottled leaves, really nice colours. And you can see that a bit in some places. It's starting to sort of take effect. I mean, it's still fairly young. So we shall see. We shall see. I love its pot though. It reminds me of those ammonite fossils. Yeah. So let's have another succulent. This guy is really cute. And again, we've had a bit of a love-hate relationship. I thought because he was a succulent, I wouldn't need to worry too much about him. I thought I would be able to put him in a fairly dark spot and he'd be fine. But I moved him upstairs into this room actually that I'm in now, which does get a lot of sun but only periodically. And he started to like reach to the window, so all these bits were curved and standing on edge, and he just looked really uncomfortable. So I had to move him back downstairs again and put him in a sunny spot, and he's flattening out again now. But I think it's quite important to catch that quite quickly, because if it starts to actually change the shape of your succulent, then I don't know if there's any going back. I mean, once it starts to get leggy and reach and grow too quickly, I think you've just lost it. I think you've got to propagate from a leaf and start again. Give it more sun. Yeah, I think he seems a lot happier now. So I'll keep him downstairs. And again, with succulents, just give them a really small amount of water and they'll be fine. I think you can definitely overwater them. Which brings me on to this guy, who I got for my birthday just about a month ago-ish. So he is another succulent. He's kind of similar to the last one in that he's very flat, but obviously when he's come to me he's already quite big, so I don't need to worry too much about his shape, I don't think. We'll find out, maybe I'll wreck him. But I've got him in a fairly dark spot. It's not dark, but it's not direct sun, and he seems to be doing okay. He doesn't seem to be closing or reaching, so we'll see. I love the little purple tips to the plant. I think it's lovely. One downside to this is I don't really know how to water it, because whenever I put water in the plant, it doesn't go into the soil, it just sits on top and kind of collects, I think. You might even be able to see a little bit. Not so much, but I can. It's just got little raindrops just positioned on the top of the plant. So I guess maybe it seeps in, but even after about 3 or 4 days after I've watered it, the water's just still sat there, which is quite strange. So I'm wondering if what I need to do is physically lift him out and like water him around the sides. I'm not sure, but I really don't want to overwater him. He looks quite spiky, but he's actually surprisingly soft. Yeah, he's my newest plant. So next I will show you my cacti. So this little guy I got from a garden centre about 5 or 6 months ago, and I actually got him because he was reduced and looked really sad, and you could actually see just beneath the soil he was in that he was quite torn, and I was worried that he just wouldn't survive, but I wanted to have a go, and I think he's okay. He hasn't changed since I've had him. He looks exactly the same, except for the fact that I've filled the soil in around the sides, and I give him a tiny bit of water, I give him moderate sun, and he seems to be okay. Yeah, doesn't really do anything. But again, maybe in summer I'll see some kind of changes. I'm not sure. But because he was on sale, he didn't have a name or anything, and I've actually never researched him because I was never sure if he was going to survive. So I just did what you do with cactuses and give them lots of sun and small amounts of water, kind of neglect them a little bit, and hope for the best. But I almost don't want to research it because I want it to be a surprise if it flowers or anything. So we'll see. He's got quite a lot of character. I like him. So I will go on to my next cactus, which is a little bigger. So this guy is really spiky. He's just a cactus. I don't know his official name, but I keep him in a sunny spot, and I give him very little water, and yeah, he just stays the same all the time. I've had him for quite a while, but he's very cool. I don't particularly want him to change. I think he's nice the way that he is. And what I love about him, in comparison to some cactuses that you get, is that he's a dark green, but he has kind of like brown spikes, which it looks really nice on the cactus. I think it gives it quite a nice edge. Almost looks a bit like a caterpillar. I like him. He's a really interesting shape. And I guess he's probably quite old. I mean, I've had him a while, but when I got him he was about this big, so I guess when he was little he was, really small, and he's probably quite a mature plant. But yeah, he's great. He's so flexible. I wouldn't want to put him in a living room though, I don't think. I don't feel like cactuses are very comfortable, like comfy plants. But he's great in our back room, in our kitchen room. So next, I just want to show you this other succulent, which I believe is a jade plant again. just a very bigger version. He was really cheap again. I got him from Asda, and it was the plant and the pot for £5, which is so good. And I've had him for ages. I've had him through like 3 houses, and when I got him he was quite a lot smaller. He was quite shallow, but he's now got the height, which is lovely. So yeah, a really great plant to have, really hardy, really happy, really green. So next I will show you, I do have some aloe vera plants, but they're quite big, probably a bit too big to have on camera, so I haven't included those. But I do have this aloe vera. I think a lot of people call it a spiked aloe vera, which obviously you can see why. So I think it has the same properties as in, if you were to cut off part of the plant, you would get aloe vera inside, I believe. That's certainly the case with normal aloe vera. But as I say, this is the spiked version. And I really love the colours in this plant. Kind of like the mother-in-law's tongue. It's got yellow bits around the edge and like a dark green, which I think really appeals to me somehow. So he's really easy to look after. I just place him in a moderately sunny spot and water him once a week, just a small amount. And he seems fine. He seems happy. So I'm going to move on to a plant that confuses me. So this is one of those plants that you see everywhere that grow little tiny flowers, and you get them a lot around Mother's Day, and I have a story. Many supermarkets. I think the official term for them is Kalanchoe plant. But you get them in all different colours, different little flowers. And this guy I got around Mother's Day. It was after Mother's Day, and basically they were selling off Mother's Day sets, and in the set you got a really small version of this plant with little pink flowers on, and then a little fabric dog. And they used to be £5, and they were reduced to I think it was like £1.50 or something. So I felt really sorry for it. It was just in a box with no light, no air, and a dog. So I've kept the dog. The dog sits with him downstairs. And I've had this for probably like 2 years, and it's grown loads, but it never flowers. So I don't know why. I thought they were quite easy to look after and quite easy to flower. But to be honest, I seem to be quite bad with anything that flowers. I mean, I seem to be fine with succulents and cactuses and leaves generally, but if something's going to have a flower, I'll probably either kill it or it won't get any flowers. I've killed off an orchid, which was beautiful, and 2 weeks with me and it was dead. So yeah, but I still love this plant because it's so luscious. And if it flowers one day, I'll be amazed and really happy. So I'll just keep trying to look after it as best I can and see where I go. So the next plants I'm going to show you are somewhat bigger. The first one is this. So you'll probably recognise it. This is a rubber plant. again, I mentioned that I had a friend who propagated plants, and this is from the same friend. And she, I don't know how she did it, she propagated a rubber plant for me. So she grew this from just one leaf, which is amazing. I love the colours in it. Oh, I did struggle with it for a bit when I first had it. The leaves were like really curling up and it looked really sad. And I was worried about this top bit here because this seemed to be like going really brown and dead. So I moved it to a much sunnier spot and I give it less water than I did because I was worried that the leaves were going a bit yellow and strange, which is often an indicator of too much water. So I'm hoping that it's doing better. I do also spray it sometimes. I have like a mister, and my friend said that it does enjoy like a bit of a shower, so I do spray it from time to time. And this bit here is basically going to grow into a new leaf, I hope. And this dead sort of shell here, I think that's going to come away and I'm going to be left with another leaf here. And then I would imagine it just keeps on going until it gets quite big. But I presume the bigger it gets, the sturdier and hardier it gets. So, yeah. But it's gorgeous. I love the colours in the leaves. I think it's really beautiful. And I just hope I'm looking after it right. I can't wait to see what it's going to do next. It's even got some pink in there. It's a really nice plant. It's quite heavy. So this guy, I have absolutely no idea what he is. I don't know what family he's from. I don't know what he is. But I got him from a garden centre. And the sticker on him was just plant mix, so I presume they just sprinkled some seeds and got what they got. And I could not resist him because I think he's amazing. I think the colours in him are so cool. And I've actually tried to like identify him online and I can't find anything at all about what he is. So if anybody knows, let me know, because taking a picture of him and running it through one of those like identifier apps just doesn't seem to be working. Maybe he's an anomaly, maybe he's an only one. He's definitely not, but yeah, he's really interesting. And again, he's pretty easy to look after. He's in a moderately sunny spot and he gets just like a small amount of water each week, small to moderate amount of water. And like the rubber plant, I do occasionally spray him. Firstly, to give him his leaves some moisture, but also because I think he looks really pretty when his leaves are wet. And they also seem a bit dusty from time to time, so sometimes it's nice to just get them moist. So yeah, that could be the right thing to be doing, I'm not sure, but he seems to be okay. I've had him maybe 6 months and he seems alright. So I'll just see where he goes and what he does. But yeah, he makes me quite happy. I do enjoy visiting him in my house. So my last plant that I'm going to show you is this one, and it's quite succulenty. My mum gave it to me. She doesn't know what it is, but I look after it like a succulent. I just give it a little bit of water, and it seems to be fine. to be okay. These are willow stars that my mum made, and she was keeping them in there, so she just left them, and they look nice. He seems quite luscious. I think if anything I need to be giving him a bit more sunlight, because he's in quite a dark spot, so maybe I'll move him around. But it's quite tricky because I have like a plant stand, and at the bottom levels light never really reaches there, much natural light, so I have to subject some plants to the lower parts, and some plants get the upper part, and this guy always gets the lower part. And I think maybe if I moved him up it'd do better, but plants that are surviving low tend to stay low just because they've proved themselves as hardy. But I think the colours in this guy are beautiful. Yeah, I actually feel like I've been kind of neglecting him a bit. I should probably give him some more light. So I think basically that's like pretty much it. I can show you one more thing. This is an attempt by me to regrow a plant that I used to have. It was a succulent, and it got really, really leggy. It was meant to stay very flat, and I got it when it was very small, and it grew and grew and grew and grew. It got to about here when it was only meant to be flat and grow outwards. So I asked a guy at a garden centre what I should do, and he basically said to take the very top part, which should be quite flat, which it is, and place it in soil and give it some water and see how you go. And this has been in for maybe like 3 weeks, and it looks the same. This is still the top of the plant. It's really hard to know if it's taken or not, because obviously you don't want to pull it out to have a look, but it certainly doesn't look dead. So I'm just going to keep watering it and seeing how I go with it. But yeah, it's a little experiment that doesn't seem to be working too well, but trial and error. And that's the fun of plants. You can just, you know, keep changing things, seeing how you go, and what lives happily where, and all those things. So yeah, one day I'm sure I'll get lots more plants, and I'll have much more to show you in the video again. So yeah, but I hope you've enjoyed looking at what I have now. I absolutely love all of them. So yeah, let me know what plants you have, and if you have any tips for me, that would be amazing. So thanks so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.